Hi, good afternoon, Orange Tea and Thai fellow colleagues. This afternoon, I'm going to share with you the secrets to handling MNC and F&B commercial rental. My name is Dennis Goh. This afternoon, I'm going to share with you 3 case studies and then the important factors to consider when preparing the documents and also to identify the challenges while facilitating a non-typical commercial rental. Now, we know that Singapore is a first world country. It's known for its convention center, financial center, transshipment center, and a survey done by the Forbes in 2018, Singapore is the second easiest country to start business in Asia. Furthermore, a survey done by CEO magazine in 2020, Singapore is the most attractive nation for investors and business people to come to Singapore and set up their business. So due to this fact, Singapore has attracted a lot of MNC to come and set up their business. Example, maybe a regional HQ, R&D center, or even a rep office. They may take Singapore as a stepping stone or a springboard to penetrate into Asia Pacific. So as a result, a lot of MNC will have to come to Singapore to rent a property to run their business. Therefore, it's a high chance that we will serve them in one way or another, right? So for a tenant who decided to take a unit, we will process a letter of intent and then collect a good faith deposit and present the offer to the landlord. However, some of the corporate landlords don't practice LOI. So what happened is that I insist to draft up a letter of intent together with the tenant, right? To state all their requests, their terms and conditions, and then present it to the landlord. Reason behind is very simple. Assuming that right now, after 1 month later, there are disputes between the landlord and the tenant because of different expectations. So this letter of intent comes in very handy as a evidence. Whatever discussion that has been done in the past has been recorded into this letter of intent, right? And then at the same time, this letter of intent, I will transfer all the information to the email and forward to the landlord for consideration. What happened here is some of the MNC, they don't have a bank account in Singapore. There's no way that they can provide us any check or any form of cash as a good faith deposit. But then they were assured that they are able to wire the money across to the landlord. Give them about 1-2 days time, they are able to do so. All right. All we need is to provide them the bank account number. Okay. So for this case, we as agent, we will prepare a letter of offer. All right. This letter of offer, once it has the signature of the landlord and it carries the signature of the tenant, and then this tenant will forward this or email these documents back to their head office, and their accounts in their head office will prepare the payment and wire across to the landlord. But do take note that in our local bank, any funds comes from the overseas, there are bank charges. So you have to include the bank charges into the amount that is going to be transferred over. And if you don't do so, then the agent will have to pay for the bank charges, right? Now, what is inside the letter of offer? The content is the usual. There's no difference between the letter of intent or any of the TA, right? The usual suspect is the 5 Ps. Right? What are the 5 Ps? The first P is the parties, right? The parties here obviously is the two parties, landlord and tenant, and their address and also their registration company numbers, right? The second P is property address and the property size. Right? The third P will be the price for rental and also how much the security deposit and also the advance rent, whether that's also inclusive of GST. Right? The fourth P is the period. It will note down if, the tenure of the whole tenancy agreement, when it's commenced and when it ceases, and also the date to take over, and the period of the rent fee and when will the rent fee end. Right? The last P will be the purpose. This is to record down what are the trade, or what's the trade and the use of the tenant. So beside these five Ps, the letter of offer include the terms and condition as well. Remember this piece, right? P-E-A-C-E, piece. Right? Why piece? Well, if the terms and condition are well documented, then the landlord or even the tenant and the agent, they will all have a peace of mind, right? Okay, let me go through with you this piece. First of all, P is a permit. Every of the operator or any of the business, they require certain license or permit to operate. Therefore, even though if it is a different property use, then change of use to apply for the change of use permit is also necessary, right? Then E stands for exit clause. While we do not want to allow the landlord and the tenant to lock horn into corner themselves into a situation where permit are not able to obtain, right? Then they will exercise this exit clause and each of them will go their own way. Then A is allocate deadline. So we need to specify the exact time, period, date for every process, every stage of the process, right? So this is actually very important. Then C is stand for compensation. What happens if there's a exit clause exercise, and then we will have to look into compensation. Who will have to pay who and how much to pay, right? Then the last one is to enclose TA. Most of the time, letter of offer are prepared in such a way that it's subject to tenancy agreement. So with the attached or enclosed tenancy agreement, the tenant will be able to read what are the covenants inside the TA before they willing to sign the letter of offer, right? Now, let me share with you my first case study. This client of mine is an Italian company. They are looking to come in Singapore to set up a rep office. And their trade is the sales of precision equipment. Now, they don't have any sales in Singapore. They don't even have any carry any stock, or they don't even have not required to have a service center in Singapore. So what I need to do is I find them a small office, a fully fitted office near Paya Lebar area, right? Then once they confirm and agree to proceed with the unit, I will first obtain all the ACRA document first, and then verify the directors as well. I get the documents from the directors. Then I follow up by preparing the letter of intent. So after doing that, goes into to prepare a letter of offer, and I allowed the landlord to sign, and then send it to the tenant to sign the acceptance and also to sign the TA. Then the tenant will email the document to their HQ, and 2 days or 3 days later, the fund was wired over to the landlord's account. So after that, I will hand over the unit. But you notice here is that there is no rent-free period. So there isn't any rent-free period provision for this TA because it is a fully furnished unit, right? So this is a very simple, straightforward case. So my next case study is a UK company. They need the first time I meet them, they told me that they need a warehouse, right? And also a small office in the warehouse. And they understand that their business is distribution of wine. But however, they are not the wholesaler. They only distribute to the retail shop, pubs or restaurants, right? And the very strange thing about their business model is they invite clients for wine tasting in their place. So they require some decent look or corporate look property. Therefore, warehouse doesn't look nice. Okay? So warehouse is definitely out of the question. Eventually, I found them a B1 factory, right? Then it's quite a decent look, quite corporate looking kind of lobby, right? And then eventually, I prepared the letter of intent, same thing, acceptance by the tenant. About 2 to 3 days later, the money was wired over from UK into the landlord's account. So then I follow up by the submission of change of use for the tenant. Why is it so? Because the place that I look for them is a B1 factory, and they are using it as a warehouse. Therefore, a change of use is required. So I also advise the tenant that they require a liquor license, or otherwise the URA will not issue to grant the permit, right? So they went on to apply for the liquor license. About a month later, all the approval obtained, and I hand over the unit to them, right? So now my third case study here is a Malaysian company. In fact, it is a chain store, right? So they need to find a retail space in Singapore to run their business. The business model is a pub, but it is a fusion with gaming and F&B, right? So it makes a bit challenging here, right? Gaming, right? It is not easy to find places that is able to host any gaming inside the unit. So eventually, I found them a shop house near the fringe of the city area. And yeah, same thing, I will prepare all the documents, sign, money transferred over to the landlord account. Then I help them to submit for the change of use. And then at the same time, I advise them that they require F&B license, liquor license, and gaming license. So they proceed to apply for all these licenses. This took a while, about close to 2 months before they able to get all the license, and eventually the approval granted, and I hand over the unit to them for renovation. So this is a very typical textbook case, all right? The procedure is very simple, straightforward. There's no hiccup. But I'm not always so lucky to handle such a simple, straightforward case. All right, I'm going to show it to you some of the non-typical, which are quite challenging, right? Okay, assuming right now, all this has been done, this first part here, all has been done, and then there comes to the change of use application, and then the license application. So during this period of time, the property in fact, is sitting there empty, right? And the tenant would like to do renovation during this period of time while their license are pending for approval. Because the reason is they want to cut short the time and they can start their business as soon as possible, right? So of course, this handover during this before the approval granted has been discussed and agreeable by the landlord, right? So these are all recorded in the letter of offer. Again here, right now, is that after the I think about 6 weeks or 7 weeks later, finally they able to get the approval, right? And then they are able to commence their business even before the rent commencement date, right? So this is okay, no problem at all, right? But however, what happened here is that in some cases, the application got delayed. Example, if let's say the provision of the application is 2 months, right? 8 weeks, and due to yes, up to the 8 weeks, approval still not obtained. But the tenant has already submitted or in the process of submitting the documents and waiting for approval. The tenant are pretty sure or confident that within the next 1, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they are able to obtain the approval. So no issue. Right? They will continue to occupy the place. And then by the time when they got their approval, the rent-free period already over, right? It already goes into or even before the approval got obtained, right? It went into the rent commencement period already. Okay, so remember we actually during the letter of offer, we stated the allocate deadlines, stated that when rent will commence, immaterial whatever or immaterial whether they got the approval or not, right? So the rent will commence, they start to pay rent. But however, they are still not able to operate their business, although the rent already kicks in, right? And then, so they waited about 2 to 3 weeks later, approval obtained. By then the renovation is all done, they can start their operation straight away, right? So the last challenging part is this. What happens if the approval unable to obtain or fail to get the approval? So over here, the tenant can, if the tenant decided to quit, right? Then the tenant will able to exercise the exit clause. You remember we have the exit clause in the piece, right? This exit clause allowed this tenant to get out of this agreement, right? And then at the same time, remember the piece, it comes with a C. C is compensation. So the landlord is able to exercise the compensation clause, right? In this case, it will be the fault of the tenant, right? So how much is the compensation made? What are the compensation, right? And then so on and so forth. And the tenant will also have to, one of the compensation is also have to reinstate the place back to the original condition, right? Before they start the renovation. All right. So these are all the challenges, all the process, right, of the facilitation. Then now I'm going to show with you the challenges, right? Okay. Usually, when I look for a property for my client, I will have to check what are the intended trade and to match their trade to the property that they intend to use, right? And if in certain cases, if I check that there is it does not match and the change of use also not allowed, Then I will move on to the next property. And until eventually I'm able to find a property, if it says that you can send your submit for evaluation, right? Then I will tell the tenant, okay, tenant, this property has a 50% chance of success, right? Would you want to proceed? And if the tenant is comfortable with it, then I'll proceed to prepare the documents, right? Okay, then for change of use, for evaluation, you have to then you can go to this Go business licensing, right? Submit to there, right? For change of use application, anybody can submit, be it owner, the landlord, the tenant, agents, or even the consultant of the tenant, right? But however, beside owner, others who submit the application require to obtain the owner's consent letter, right? And at the same time, require to submit a floor plan. Assuming if this is a restaurant or an F&B, they will have to indicate where are the kitchen, where are the store area, and also so on and so forth, right, in the floor plan. And for the submission of the change of use, after maybe 10 days later, the URA may say that, hey, you're required to furnish me with other trade license as well, right? If those license you're able to obtain, then I will grant you the permit, right? So they will also have to submit all these trade license. Okay. As for the grant of permit, there are two types, permanent and temporary. For temporary, it varies from 1 year to 3 years, right? So so it depends how many years the URA grant, right? So the second challenges is about licensing, right? If it's an F&B company business, then they will have to submit their license application of the license to the Singapore Food Agency, which is SFA, right? And SFA has this is a new agency formed early last year. It take over all the AVA and NEA job pertaining to food license application, right? And therefore, the NEA and AVA can focus on more important tasks. So in any case right now, application for F&B will have to submit to SFA. And in a situation whereby the trade requires liquor, involving entertainment, maybe live entertainment, gaming, and massage, all those stuff, they have to submit to the Singapore Police Force, right? And it will take quite a while for this because they will have to check a lot of details, the owner's details, let's say the staff details and all those things. Liquor, if it's liquor, then they will need to know how is the storage of the liquor and all those stuff, right? And then if it's entertainment, whether it is Cat 1, Cat 2, and all those stuff, things like that. Then in the event, if it is a entertainment or F&B, then a fire license is required. Why a fire license? Is that assuming if there's a kitchen, then the kitchen will require a fire license, right? Entertainment as well, they will need to know in case of fire how the evacuation of the people. So have to submit the application to Singapore Defence Force, Singapore Civil Defence Force, right? Or SCDF. And then for the lastly will be the BCA. Right? BCA, in case if there is any change of the structural to the building or to the unit. Example, if they are going to remove a piece of wall or they're going to change the staircase, then there will be change in structurally, there will be some changes. So they will have to get a QP to endorse and submit the built plan to the BCA, right? Then the third and last challenges, right? We talk about setting deadline. You remember the piece allocate deadlines, right? So all the date and duration of the process, right? the stages of the process have to be clearly indicated, right? When the tenant have to accept the letter of offer and the signing of TA, right? And the provision of period to obtain the approval. Assuming if this is like a case of the F&B with entertainment and things like that, it may take very long. So usually I will have to consult the tenant. Hey, tenant, what do you think? Is this period, how long do you require? They may say, okay, based on my experience, it takes about 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Then I will discuss this with the landlord. And upon approval, then I'll put it into the letter of offer, right? And the rent-free period, right? Again, here, have to discuss with the tenant and the landlord how much rent-free period will provision for it. Okay, and then when will the handover date of the premises, and when will the commencement of rent? So all these dates have to be clearly indicated in the letter of offer. So the next is recourse action. Wow, this is really a very hardcore negotiation, right? And this can be a deal or a break, right? Because the tenant and the landlord, both of them have very different interests. Okay, so this recourse action may not even exist, right? But if we don't touch on it, like the exit clause, and what happens if anything that mishap or due to unpredictable circumstances, then this exit clause will come in, right? And it is always a very challenging topics to discuss, and because of due to conflict of interest. Okay, then the last challenges is the compensation. Right, and in this case, who is going to compensate who? How much to compensate? Right? Why should I compensate? Right? So there are a lot of argument here, and for us, we have to do it very professionally, present our point, and then we can't argue with them, right? So then the next thing is, agent also do a lot of work in the event if any of the party exercise the exit clause, then agent spend so much time, have to be compensated also, right? Yeah, so agent commission, right, is also part of the compensation. And then if, let's say, the tenant started the renovation before the approval, and when they exercise the exit clause, then the reinstatement have to come in, right? Are the tenants going to do the reinstatement, or are they going to pay a lump sum to the landlord to reinstate? Okay, so all this have to be spelled out very clearly in the letter of offer. So let me recap what is the content in the letter of offer, right? Letter of offer, we have to remember the 5 P, right? The first P is parties, right? Between the landlord and tenant. The second P is property, right? The property address, property size. The third P will be the price, which contain a rental price, the security deposit, the advance rent, how much to pay, and plus whether there's GST or not, right? The fourth P will be period. Okay, that will be the tenure of the lease, and when to take over, how long will be the rent-free period, when is the commencement of the rent. The last P will be the purpose, which is you have to clearly indicate in the letter of offer what are the traits and what are the use of the property. Okay, not forgetting, there's also the terms and condition, right? Remember, use it very simple, using the word PEACE, P-E-A-C-E, right? P represent permit, E is the exit clause, A will be the allocate deadlines, right? Remember, this is very, very important, right? And then compensation if the exit clause being exercised, right? And last but not least, to enclose a TA. Okay, remember, you have to enclose TA in a letter of offer. Okay, I've come to the end of my sharing. Hope there's something for you to take home from my sharing today, right? All the best and have a nice day.